When life feels quiet and nothing seems to be changing, it's easy to assume God has stopped moving for you. But what if the silence isn't the end of your story? What if it's the setup for something greater than you can see right now? Behind the unanswered prayers, the delayed blessings, and the painful goodbyes, God is still arranging everything in perfect order, even when it feels like He's forgotten your name. You don't see every detail because He's working in secret places, handling things you couldn't carry yet. While you're questioning the weight, He's preparing people, positioning favor, and shifting circumstances to align with His purpose for your life. Nothing you've gone through has been wasted. Every tear, every disappointment, and every detour has been part of His unseen plan to protect, prepare, and strengthen you. So even when you can't trace His hand, trust that His heart is still for you. He's been moving quietly in ways you'll only understand later, because sometimes the greatest blessings are the ones that grow in silence before they're revealed. And when it all comes together, you'll realize God was never still. He was simply working behind the scenes for you. One, God is rearranging things you can't see. And we know that all things work together for good to those who love God, to those who are the called according to His purpose. There are moments when it feels like your entire life has been flipped upside down and nothing seems to make sense anymore. You question why things had to end, why certain people had to leave, and why every plan you made seems to keep falling apart. But what you can't see is that God is quietly moving things around, placing you in position for blessings that require precise timing. He's removing some people because they were tied to the old version of you that can't go where He's taking you next. He's allowing certain delays because He knows you're not ready to step into what's coming until your faith is stronger. What feels like loss is often His way of freeing your hands so you can receive something better. Every change that felt like confusion was actually direction disguised as disappointment. Behind every not yet, there's a layer of grace that's holding things together until the right door opens. One day, you'll look back and realize that none of it was random. It was all carefully rearranged by God to lead you exactly where you needed to be. 2. God is protecting you from hidden trouble. For He shall give His angels charge over you to keep you in all your ways. Some of the doors that never opened were never meant to harm you. They were meant to protect you. God saw the parts of that relationship, job, or opportunity that would have left you broken had it continued. He allowed that sudden ending, not because He didn't love you, but because He loved you too much to let you walk into unnecessary pain. While you were busy questioning His silence, He was blocking something that could have destroyed your peace. You'll never know how many accidents you avoided, how many people He removed that were secretly against you, or how many nights His angels surrounded you while you slept. There were situations that looked like blessings on the surface, but underneath them was heartbreak waiting to happen. He let certain things fail because He knew the cost would have been greater than the reward. And though you may not understand it now, His protection always comes before His promotion. Every closed door was His way of saying, I'm saving you from something you can't see yet. 3. God is softening hearts around you. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. Like the rivers of water, He turns it wherever He wishes. You've been praying for change, but God isn't just changing situations, He's changing hearts. People who once misunderstood you are beginning to see your sincerity differently, because God is working behind the scenes. He's healing pride, removing stubbornness, and melting away resentment that once created distance between you and them. There are people who couldn't value you before because they weren't mature enough to handle your presence. Now God is allowing time and experience to humble them so they can recognize your true worth. You don't have to force reconciliation or chase anyone to be understood. When God softens hearts, what once felt tense suddenly becomes peaceful, and conversations that once failed begin to flow again. He's preparing people to receive you with the same grace He's been showing them. And when He brings that moment of connection back around, it'll be built on understanding, not old wounds. 4. God is healing wounds you can't explain. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. There's a kind of healing that doesn't happen overnight. It happens in quiet moments when you don't even realize it. You'll wake up one day and notice that the pain that used to overwhelm you doesn't hurt as deeply anymore. That's how God heals, slowly, silently, and completely. He doesn't just remove the memory, he replaces the ache with peace. When you thought he wasn't listening to your cries, he was actually tending to the pieces of your heart you didn't know were bleeding. Healing sometimes looks like stillness, isolation, and silence because he's teaching you how to rest instead of react. You'll start to feel lighter, calmer, and more centered, not because life got easier, but because he gave you new strength to carry it. Every tear that fell was seen, and every silent prayer became a seed for your emotional recovery. By the time God is done, you'll be stronger in the same place where you once felt shattered. 5. God is removing you from chaos. For God is not the author of confusion, but of peace, as in all the churches of the saints. When everything starts feeling chaotic and heavy, that's usually the sign that God is leading you out of it. He's been whispering to your spirit, reminding you that confusion is not from him. Sometimes he'll let things grow uncomfortable until you finally let go of what's been draining your peace. You've been trying to hold it together, but peace isn't something you fight for. It's something he gives when you release control. He's separating you from people and places that thrive on conflict so you can finally hear his voice clearly again. What used to excite you now feels exhausting because your spirit is growing beyond chaos. When God removes you from confusion, he's not punishing you. He's realigning you with his calm. And when the noise stops, you'll realize just how much he's been protecting your mind all along. 6. God is guarding you from premature decisions. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. You've been asking God to move faster, but sometimes his pauses are the greatest protection you'll ever receive. He knows what's ready for you and what would only overwhelm you if given too soon. That's why he slows you down when your emotions try to speed things up. There are blessings that require maturity, and God wants you to handle them with peace, not pressure. The waiting isn't wasted. It's shaping your discernment and giving you eyes to see beyond feelings. He'll keep closing paths that lead to pain until you learn to wait for his timing instead of forcing your own. When you finally step forward again, it'll be with clarity instead of confusion. You'll understand that every delay had a reason, and his not yet was his way of saying you're too valuable to rush. 7. God is silencing the noise around you. Your ears shall hear a word behind you saying, "This is the way, walk in it," whenever you turn to the right hand or whenever you turn to the left. You've noticed the sudden quiet lately, the loss of constant chatter, the distance from distractions, and that's intentional. God is quieting everything around you so you can finally hear his voice clearly again. He's removing unnecessary opinions, cutting off draining conversations, and pulling you away from things that drown out his peace. It's in the silence that your spiritual sensitivity increases, and you begin to feel his presence more deeply. He's teaching you to stop searching for outside validation and start trusting the still, small voice that speaks inside your heart. Sometimes God allows isolation so your discernment can sharpen and your focus can return to him. The quiet isn't punishment, it's preparation for clarity, wisdom, and direction. Soon, what once felt like loneliness will start to feel like peace, because you'll realize he was speaking all along. You just needed the noise to stop. When it feels like nothing is working out, remember that God's silence doesn't mean he's absent. It means he's preparing something better than you expected. Every unseen detail, every delay, and every quiet moment is proof that he's still in control, building a future that will make sense in time. Keep trusting him, even when you can't see the full picture, because what he's working on behind the scenes is far greater than what you've been praying for. If the content inspired you, please like comment, and subscribe to Pure Inspirational. Be blessed.